What's going on, you guys? My name's Ty Knots and welcome to Top 5 Unknowns. 5 mysterious letters linked to crimes. Number 5. On a Sunday evening in Scotland, Alastair and Veronica Wilson were settling in for the night and tucking their children into bed. But just then the doorbell rang. Veronica headed down to answer the door while Alastair stayed behind to read to the children. An unknown man in a baseball hat was at the door requesting to speak with Alastair. The man handed Alastair a blue envelope that had the name Paul written on it and disappeared into the night. Just a few moments later, Veronica heard several loud bangs. She ran downstairs to find that Alastair had been shot 3 times and the blue envelope had been stolen. Alastair later died at the hospital. Police searched the area and managed to find a 1920s handgun that had been dumped in a drain, though there was no DNA to be found on it. Police have no idea who may have wanted to take Alastair's life, as he seemed largely uninvolved with the outside world and appeared to be a simple, quiet family man. The mysterious blue envelope has never been found and the case remains open to this day. Number 4. Robert Durst is the sole heir to a $650 million real estate business. Back in 1982, his wife Kathy unexpectedly went missing. Police were notified of this, but not too long after, Robert disappeared as well. It was then found that he'd been living in Texas after disguising himself as a mute woman and fleeing the area. By 2003, however, Robert was connected to the killing of his neighbor, who'd been dismembered. Ultimately, though, he was not found guilty. In the year 2000, his good friend Susan was found shot dead in her home just days before she was scheduled to speak with police about Robert's prior wife. Police received a note just a short while after hearing this news that simply contained the word cadaver, with Susan's address written below it. One key thing to note is that Beverly Hills was spelled incorrectly. Police assumed this letter was directing them to return to Susan's crime scene, though no progress was made on the case. By 2015, an HBO documentary had been filmed about the incident, which concluded that Robert Durst had previously sent Susan letters with Beverly Hills spelled wrong. This is just enough evidence to get Robert arrested for her death, with his arrest being carried out just hours before the final episode of the documentary was scheduled to air. Number 3. In December of 1998, Mark Jensen found his wife, Julie, dead in their Wisconsin home. He phoned police and revealed to them that she'd been battling depression for quite some time. The case was initially ruled a suicide, though the family's neighbors soon chimed in and handed police a sealed envelope. Inside was a letter from Julie stating that she feared Mark had plans to kill her and potentially cover it up. An autopsy was then performed and this suspicion was confirmed. Julie had been poisoned with antifreeze and Mark was charged with murder. However, controversy soon broke out that Mark's wife had actually set out to frame him from beyond the grave. It was alleged that she'd written the letter prior to her passing and only a short while before she planned to take her own life. Court proceedings continued on for the next 10 years with Mark arguing his innocence, though finally in 2008 he was convicted and sentenced to life in prison. He appealed this decision, but it was upheld in 2017. Number 2. A woman by the name of Nicole was found to have been strangled and dumped by a garage in 1998. She was visiting London from Lithuania, searching for a job. Soon after her body was discovered, police received an anonymous letter stating that she'd likely been killed by 2 black men. A second later was then received, with the author refusing to come forward as he or she feared for the safety of their family. Police believed the letters to be authentic, but without anyone to properly question, they provided little leverage in the case and it eventually ran cold. In 2010, over a decade later, a man named James Kendi was arrested for drunk driving. He was soon found to have lived close to Nicole, and DNA actually tied him to the crime. Police searched his home and almost miraculously found paper that matched the paper letters that had been sent in 12 years prior. He was charged, convicted, and sentenced to 20 years in prison. Number 1. In December of 1974, 2 teenage girls, Rachel and Renee, planned a Christmas shopping trip in Texas. A 9-year-old neighbor tagged along as well, and the 3 of them promised to return home by 4 p.m., though they never came home. Witnesses reported seeing the girls at the mall, and Rachel's car was found in the parking lot with a wrapped present in the back, though the girls were nowhere to be found. Their family soon showed up to investigate, but they also found nothing either. It wasn't until a couple weeks later that Rachel's husband received a letter in the mail that was supposedly written by Rachel. The note informed him that they had fled to Houston and that they planned on seeing him in about a week. Her husband concluded that the handwriting was not hers, and that spelling mistakes were made that were inconsistent with her writing style. The FBI soon became involved as well, but the case had virtually no additional evidence. It remains unsolved to this day. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to click that like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell to keep updated with our videos.